Okay, and we're live. Yali Madad,
Okay.
everyone. Welcome to the new episode of the Sports Show. My name is Mariam, and I have the pleasure today to interview David Ali from Portugal. David is a first division player. He has won the Under 14 Championship in Lisbon, and he is considered to be one of the top football prospects in Portugal. Being a goalkeeper, David Ali is 6'2" and weighs 183 pounds. Welcome, David.
Hi, Miriam. How are you?
I'm good. Como você está?
Very good, very good. Thank you.
I have to say, this is the only Portuguese I know, so I'm afraid we have to do the interview in English.
Okay, okay, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's in the right path. Yeah, yeah. I
Thank
think so.
you. So thank you, David, for joining us today. It's great
Thank
to
you
have
for.
you on the sports show. And just, with being just 17 years old, I think you are already quite far in your football career. So it'd be interesting to kind of get to know a bit about you. So when did you start playing football, and did you always know that you wanted to become a goalkeeper?
Firstly, I would like to thank you, Miriam, for the invitation. I would also like to thank Zoe and the organization for this interview, and it will be a big pleasure to show my journey so far and talk about my journey being a goalkeeper and also being a student athlete. So I started when I was pretty young, yeah, with my in my school. I used to play with my grandfather in his house, and then I would play also in my school, being a goalkeeper. Always being a goalkeeper because I was a bit, chubby, and I was high. So um, I always had a big pleasure playing in the goal because my grandfather was a goalkeeper, my uncle was a goalkeeper, my father was a goalkeeper, but he failed a lot, so he wasn't a very good goalkeeper. And I was discovered when I was 12 years old. I was playing in my garden in front of my house, and there was this old man that went through and passed by us and asked me some characteristics about me, where I was playing, if I was playing, and I said that I wasn't. And he said to me that I could try and go do some tryouts in Secavnes, which is a club near Lisbon. I went there. They liked me a lot, and I stayed there for 4 years. So from the under 12 to the under 16. And then I went to Vitória Setúbal, which is outside Lisbon. It's in the south margin, which is also a very good club. Unfortunately, they were relegated from the first division to the third division, and I wish the best to the club so they can get back to where they belong. And so it's my beginning of the journey is in Sacavnes, and it was a very good club to start my journey because it's one of the best here in Portugal in terms of academy and beginning to developing players in our country.
Oh, that sounds really, really exciting. Thank you, David, for sharing this. So can you just tell us a bit? So what team are you playing for at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm playing in the north of Portugal. I'm actually at the moment in the south, my parents' house. I'm playing for Paços de Ferreira, and I brought the shirt so you can see the badge. So this is the badge of my club right
Oh,
now. So I received an offer in March or April, yeah, to play in Paços. It was a very funny story how I ended up there. So we were having our negotiations, and then I had some clubs here in Lisbon that wanted me to play in their team. And I ended up playing in Paços because they had a beautiful offer to me, and they really showed me the interest that they had in myself. So that's one of the big reasons that I moved to the north of Portugal.
Oh, interesting. So at the moment, so which city exactly are you in the north?
So I'm living in Porto and I'm playing in Paços. So in Porto, I'm in an area called São João, which is the campus area, the university where there are the universities, the medical school, medical college, so the economics college, they are all there. My school is also in São João, and then at 3 p.m. I end up being in Paços, where I have my trainings till 7 p.m. So I move from one district to the other, but I mostly live in Porto during the year, and sometimes in my holidays and in my breaks, I like to go back and go to my parents' house.
Oh, okay. That sounds lovely actually to spend some time in Lisbon. So you're currently playing for the first division team. Where do you see yourself? So where do you see your future, or where would you like to play?
So that's a bit a difficult question because we are players and we move according to the market and all of the offers. But I would like to see myself in the Paços first team because it's a club where I think I am at home. They received me very well. They are treating me very well, and they show a lot of respect towards work and commitment. So that's my type of house, and I see myself in the Paços first team, but I also see myself like playing outside, playing in England, playing in all type of countries that can offer me this type of commitment, work, and dedication towards my development and also towards my career.
And is there currently a manager that you are really, supporting, or who is your favorite football manager at the moment?
Well, I like a lot Jose Mourinho because he's from the city where I played, also Setúbal. I also like Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. They have a style of play that you know, mainly focuses on keeping the ball, playing short, also long balls because you cannot always eat like rice with beans. You need to vary a bit with some pasta, some meat, some fish. And they play a style of game that I like. It's very a short game, playing with the goalkeeper. They use a lot the goalkeeper as the first man to build their attack. So Klopp, Guardiola, and Jose Mourinho will be my options.
Sounds good. So if you were to be a manager and you were given a blank check, which football player would you sign up for?
From the old times or the recent players that are playing at the moment.
Yeah, I would say now, like currently, who would you actually say this is the top football player that we need on the team?
Okay, so I would say Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. I think it's like a bit of a normal response, but because he symbolizes work and dedication, and I think that needs to be very present in teams. Nowadays, there are some players. There's an interview made to Jurgen Klopp, and he asked this young player that came to training with new Ferrari or Mercedes, and he asked, "So what's the car that you're driving today?" And he said, "Mercedes." "And what do you have on your wrist?" And he said, "A Rolex." "And how many games have you played for in the Premier League?" And he said, "None." So in the next day, he came up to the training grounds with a normal car and no Rolex in his wrist. So we need to have this type of players that show dedication and work and commitment, and captain the team towards success. And I think if I was a manager, I would choose Ronaldo, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, I think this also shows your work ethic as well, and how committed you are to your team and football in general. So being a goalkeeper, and I know at the moment with COVID, it has been quite challenging, but what would be interesting to know is pre-COVID, what would your normal training day look like as a goalkeeper, and how would it differ? So how does the training of a goalkeeper differ to the training of other football players?
Okay, so mainly because I'm also a student, my day would end up being in school uh, from 8 a.m. to I think 3 p.m. But then in my training, I would start. I also I like to start my trainings with a bit of a pre-warm up, like stretching, having the muscles, beginning to wake up the muscles, doing some gym before training. I also like to do in the gym some type of plyometric work, so it's jumps before training because it activates my muscles. Then I would go to training in the pitch, and it would normally start with the goalkeeper training. So entering the question that you asked me, goalkeeper training is mostly based on explosive movements, and that's what we need. For example, a right back or a left back or a right midfielder or a left midfielder normally run in a game around like 8 to 11 kilometers, and a goalkeeper would run between 3 kilometers to 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers maximus. And I think most of our job in the pitch is to be concentrated and to do this type of explosive movements. So it's based on that. Aerial duels are mostly explosive movements. Jumping is mostly an explosive movement. So it's based on that. We also do some resistance work, but like only once or twice a week. Most of our days are based on these types of movements, and also technical developments, because it's very important for a goalkeeper to be very efficient in terms of doing technical movements. So we start doing that type of training. It varies from day to day because we have a microcycle during the week. But then I would integrate the team training, and then normally I do after everyone goes to the locker room, and having the bath and all of that kind of stuff after training. I also do some feet work, so I can work with my kick, my ball control, all type of stuff that a goalkeeper also needs nowadays. So this will be my normal day of training, type of training.
Great. And how did you make sure that now during the pandemic, of course, I'm assuming that your training was much restricted, but how did you make sure that you're still kept fit?
So I need to reduce on my I need to reduce some some food on my diet. It's part of the plan, because a goalkeeper needs to be very strict in their diet, because we need less the minimum weight so we can jump higher. I also kept my physical work when I was in a my we had a time that we wouldn't have some any type of training in a pitch in Paços. So I went to Lisbon and I started training at the gym, mostly at the gym, because it's very important for a goalkeeper to be fit. Doing some work in the gym, continue running. Running is a good exercise to burn calories and to keep the metabolism, good. And also, yeah, that's mostly what I do right now. It also develops some parts of my game that I cannot develop during the season. For example, mindfulness, yoga, stretching, those kind of things that you don't have enough time to do during the season, or you have less time. You can use these times to develop other skills, and also see your games and analyze some things that you couldn't analyze when you were during like during the season.
Okay. And then I'm assuming, so now you have gone back to normal training, or is it still restricted?
Unfortunately, here in Portugal, we had a big number of cases of COVID. So we are at 15,000 every day. So it's very rude and bad. Uh, so we needed to be isolated at home, all of us. So we don't have trainings. We only have Zoom trainings. So and also running trainings. So the coach sends us the plan to our run, and then we need to do that run in a certain time. So normal trainings stopped, I think, 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
and hopefully they will start again. I think. From 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks. I think so. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. So when you are about to get into a match, so is there any special routine that you do before before you enter? So I know that there are some football players, they kiss the ground, or they do something superstitious. Is there something that you like to do before a match?
Yes, I have some. I don't have some. I don't have some like a ritual or a. Sorry, can we start again?
Superstition.
Superstition. Yeah, superstition.
Yes.
I don't have like a superstition. I have some rituals after and before the games. So my games normally are in the morning. So in the previous nights, I do some meditation.
Mm.
I sleep with the meditation on, so I can get my focus. Bringing the good things in my mind, all that kind of stuff to my mind. Be calm, be fresh. Then in the morning of the game, I eat my usual breakfast: 2 eggs, bread, milk, all that kind of stuff. Honey also, so I can get a bit of sugar, to be active. And then before the game, I equip myself, and then uh, in the moment that I'm entering the pitch, I usually do some prayers, like asking Allah to give me some strength, and to be His. I'm going to do what He wants me to do. So I trained this week, and I want Him to give me what I need to face the challenge that is going to be the game. But and everything is Allah. I say all the time, everything is God's work. So
Mm.
I go in the pitch, I do my best, and then after the game, I usually go home and have like a good meal, an outside meal of my plan, so I can get my mind out of the game.
Mm.
And it's very important. So this before rituals, I usually do like meditation, bringing good thoughts and asking God for His help, and that's all. So only need to do my work and be calm. Yeah, that's it. Be calm.
Yeah, and just do the best you can, I guess.
Yes. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So what do you do when you, for example, you are in a match and the match has just started and you're kind of having like a bad start? So I remember, I'm sure you've seen it, the Champions League final in 2019, Liverpool and Tottenham, and Liverpool. I think they achieved a goal within the first 2 minutes of the match, and I was just really feeling, for the goalkeeper, because it kind of, it's upsetting, I think, having this right from the beginning. So what do you do if you have like a bad start? How do you bounce back from it?
So in psychology, we have a thing called beginner's mind. So if we do a wrong movement, you usually think, so a normal person will think, okay, I did this wrong movement, next time I need to do it like the opposite. So I need to do, if I shot a ball that ended up like really close to me, I need to shot the ball very far, and it ends up being like an extreme resolution of the problem. And that's in my perspective, it's not the right form to correct a mistake. So beginner's mind is a thing that I use that leads me to thinking about the movement. So I did this wrong. What did I do wrong? and then go back to the way that I learned to do that movement. So that brings me calm and confidence again. And I think we need to mentally say that um, a game is 90 minutes. So if we do like 10 minutes, a bad 10 minutes, we need to correct them right away, because in 90 minutes a lot of things can change. And but yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's a difficult task, but with practice and experience, you can easily turn it around.
Okay, that's good to know. So I'm assuming as a goalkeeper, I think I would probably think that the worst moment, or not the worst, I think the most challenging moment is when you're in a match and the ball comes towards you. So what do you feel like? What goes through your head when you see the ball coming towards you?
I think in those times you need to be very aggressive, think in your mind, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And then when the ball comes, it's yours always, because in your mind you have that ambition. But yeah, it's not stressful, but it's a bit like a more active moment of the game, where you need to bring up more of your focus. You need to be very focused during the game, but in that moment, it's a time where you are brought to action. So in that time, what do I think? I think that I'm going to save the ball. I need to think that, otherwise the ball will go in. And it's a lot about instinct, because you need to train a lot of times. And then when the ball rebounds or goes into an area that's you already experienced technique to defend that area, it all comes up to instinct. You need to believe in your instinct, and then trust it and go forward. Yeah, that's it. You need to be very brave. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess with practice, I think you become probably more and more confident as well. And what would be interesting to know as well is, do you have, or does your coach use some sort of like video analysis during your matches, just to kind of for you then to see, okay, where did I go wrong? What can I improve next time? Do you use these sort of resources?
Yes, my coach. We usually film our games, uh, because we need to have like a general perspective for what we do. And being on the pitch is different from being outside, and you have like a wider vision when you are outside of the pitch, and that can bring us a lot of benefits, because we can see some details that we wouldn't see if we were on the pitch. So I think it's very important to have that type of analysis from video, and having our coach telling us what we could do better. It's even better. Getting together video analysis and our coach is the perfect recipe.
Mm. And what is your opinion about the use of VAR? So I think a lot of also like international, I mean, during the World Cup, the European Cup, I think this is quite commonly used to have like an additional support, I guess, for the referees to better make certain decisions. And what is your opinion about using VAR in football?
I think it brings a lot of benefits to football, because we can make the game much clearer. So if we have like a handball and we are not certain of it, we can go and use the VAR to analyze that kind of moment, and that is very important, because nowadays we need to have a fair game. But there is a big question that is referees need to use VAR in the correct times. So, for example, if you use the VAR 4 or 5 times during the game, I think it's positive. But if you keep constantly, interrupting the game with the VAR, I think it's very it's not beautiful to see. It's not a good thing to see. It interferes with the sequence of the game, and it ends up being a bit unproductive for the referees and also for the players, because job of a referee is to know the rules of the game and to have that special eagle eye in the moments of the action. So I think the role of the referee is also very important to the game, and VR can help the referee, but it cannot be the referee.
Okay. So you've told us that you actually started playing football when you were 12 years. In the past years, have you been able to attend any of the sports festivals, or the European Sports Festival, the Jubilee Games? Were you able to attend?
Unfortunately, I wasn't. When I was in when I was so I was 14. I was elected to do some tryouts in the Jubilee Games team, Portuguese team. But I was 14, so I couldn't travel until I was 16. But they really liked me, and I had that impetus of going to the sports festival, and I was wishing to go this past year, so 2020. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we couldn't do the sports festival, the 2020 edition,
Mm.
and I don't think that in the, the future editions I can go because of the club and all of the rules of the league and all kind of stuff. But I would love to. I would love to attend those type of sports festival because I think the I think the Jamaat needs to be needs to have a conscious mind that sports is a vital part of our life. It's something that moves us forward. It's something that unites nations. I don't know if you know the story about the football game that was in the during the Second World War. So, do you know that story?
No, I don't actually. Please share.
Okay, so during the Second World War, the two parts that were having the war stopped in the 25th of December, and they had a football game to celebrate Christmas. So it was a beautiful moment, and they didn't have any type of conflict in that day due to football. So sports move nations, move societies, and it's a kind of thing that um, gets our minds free and gets us like a pleasure of running, of doing sports activities, and that is really important in our society. And nowadays we are turning to having like a bigger impetus of staying home and not doing any type of sports, and it is very important for our society to understand that sports do need to be practiced and do need and besides sports, physical activity, and that is very important to do. It's very important.
Mm. Yeah, so I think, I mean, once I'm sure that, once, things go back to normal, we will be able to go back to all of the festivals, and we'll be really happy to see you at one of the Jubilee Games or the European Sports Festival. So, being a goalkeeper, what do you think is the most challenging aspect? So, I think on the one hand, probably psychologically, so mentally, and on the other hand, also physically. What would you say is very challenging?
So mentally, I would say that dealing with mistake, you need to be very cold, very efficient in what you do, and if you make a mistake, you cannot be like you cannot be penalized by that kind of mistake in your mind. You cannot internalize that mistake. You need to to analyze in that moment what happened in that mistake. If it is in a game, yeah, you need to analyze it. If it is in a training, you can be a bit frustrated because that frustration sometimes brings motivation, and that is good. But dealing with mistake mostly because you need to be able to just do a quick step and go forwards. You need to move your mind from that mistake, and that requires a lot of practice. And you only acquire that practice for if you train a lot your mind to that goal. Physically, I think being able to be as quick as you can with the best power you have. So you need to have strength to do some movements, and that is a key part of being a goalkeeper. And physically, also the impacts of balls of the ground. When you go towards a ball, you know, you see that beautiful save with your hands and all kind of stuff, but after that you have the part where you fall on the ground, and you need to be able to learn those techniques, and also the impact, because where you go with your hands in the game, the other player goes with their legs. So it's a very rude part of the game when you get hit by the opponent's legs.
Mm.
But it's part of the game. So physically, it's the impact and the strength that you need to have.
Mm. And what would you say is the worst injury that could happen for a goalkeeper?
Head injury
Mm.
and a rupture, muscle rupture.
Mm.
Because, for example, I had two muscle ruptures, and they now influence me a bit in my gestures.
Mm.
Um, but it is part of the game, you know. If we want to play, we need to be able to overcome those type of injuries. I had two big injuries. I both so one was in my left leg and one was in my right leg, and I needed to be very conscious and you know, be mind cleared to face those injuries. So because they needed time to recover. They were like I think I stopped in both of them from 3 to 5 months. So, and they were ruptures. So that's why I'm saying that ruptures are very brutal, because they can influence your season. And
Mm.
also head injuries, because like I said before, where you go with your head, the opponent goes with their legs. So, and head injuries are very bad. For example, Petr Cech had that injury there in his head,
Mm.
and he had to stop, like I think 2 months or 3 months, and he had to keep his life going with his helmet.
Mm.
And I think it gives some style to his you know, to his way of playing. But yeah, definitely head injuries. They can
Mm.
damage your life, and it's important, you know, to be conscious of what you do and have those right techniques.
So is your coach like guiding you in that sense as well, like kind of telling you, you know, what to look out for, how to avoid certain injuries? Is he giving you advice in that region as well?
Yes. So, for example, in crossings, I'm used to have a technique where I just jump and catch the ball. But you know, when you jump up, you have someone going always towards you. So you need always to keep a knee up. So you get like a hit in the knee, and you don't bounce to the ground or get hurt. And there are some types of techniques that my coach teaches me, and those are very valuable. Those are one of the key parts that make my coach a good professional in his area.
Mm. And does your coach also give you like support in terms of like the mental challenges that you mentioned before? Does he also so how is this relationship with you and with other players?
So I'm used to deal with my goalkeeper coach. My head coach is also my coach, and he teaches me a lot of things. But mostly my goalkeeper coach and my goalkeeper. During my career, I had a lot of goalkeeper coaches, and they all, besides the technique, they also taught me a lot about you know, mentality and how to face adversity. And that's the key part of being a goalkeeper coach. You know, you need to be able to transmit to your athletes in that moment what they need to hear. For example, I had an episode in Paços where I was, you know, feeling a bit down because I was away from my family, and my school time started, so it was a bit rough. You know, I'm also in school, so it is a big challenge for me. And my coach came to me and said, you know, David, there are thousands of kids that want to be in your place. And in this moment, you can be called to the senior team. So you need to have that salt. He said to me, you need to have that salt. And I said, salt? And he said, that's spicy, you know, you need to be brave, you need to have that thing. And I said, and I thought about that. I internalized that thing. And then during this season, it has been one of my key things when I think in my training, in my games, that I need to do better. I remember that salt, that conversation. You know that it's very important for goalkeepers to have that mind fresh, and that is brought a lot by goalkeeper coaches. They are fundamental in that key area that is the mentality.
Mm. So you just mentioned actually that you are also still going to school, and it just occurred to me. So how do you balance this? We have a very, I mean, school is stressful. Being like in professional sports is stressful. How do you balance both of this?
It's difficult. I won't say that it's easy, but if you do it with your heart, it's a very pleasant thing to do. I love school. I like to learn new things because school is like a thing that brings me out of football. So in the moment that I'm in school, I only think about the subjects. I only think about economics. I only think about history. I only think about those type of things that bring me out of the football world. So it's like an escape from what is my second job, or my job. It's not second or first. It's my job.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge, but I think it's very doable. And I say to all of the kids around the world and all of the young people that it is a challenge, but it is very doable, and it's very important to keep in school, to have good grades,
Mm.
because I work a lot in football, but in a lapse of a second, you can have like a head injury, and you need to stop football, or you can have like a big leg injury, and you have to have a big sustainable base, so you can move forward with your life. You don't need to have a second plan. You need to have a first plan
Mm.
alongside football also.
Mm. Yeah, I think, and I guess you see it quite a lot also with other football players, where you start quite early, but once you reach a certain age, then you need to kind of have something else as well to just keep you occupied, I guess.
Yes, yes. Um you know, those types of we have a world that is very ambiguous, and not all have the opportunity to go to school and have that enjoyment of learning new things. And for the ones that don't have that opportunity, I think if they hold on to football, it's very good. If you want to build a bright future with football, it's very, very good, and it's very doable. You only have one path, but if you believe in that path, it's very important. But to the ones that have the opportunity to go to school and to do those type of things, and also believe in their career in football or in any other sport, I think it's important to follow those two paths.
Mm. Okay, so I have prepared something for the interview today. I have prepared a quick fire round. So I will ask you a series of questions, and you will have a second to answer. So it will always be about what you like or what you prefer towards the other. Okay, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay,
Bring it on.
first question. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Oh, that's good to know. I hope the girls who are watching this will remember this. Second question. Beach holiday
But
or
also
city
texting.
trip?
But if you want to text me, I'll say my Instagram in the end.
Sure. Okay, second question. Beach holiday or city trip?
Beach holiday. Beach holiday.
Pizza or burgers?
None of them, but I would say pizza.
Dog or cat?
Cat. Cat. I have a cat.
Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Jump from a plane.
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna, yeah, definitely.
Eating out or staying in?
Singing.
Live in Europe or live in the US?
Europe, yeah.
Lisbon or Porto?
Oh, that's a tough one. Lisbon.
And final one, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
Ronaldo.
Of course,
Definitely.
I think that was a given.
Yes, that was given. That was given.
Thank you so much, David, for the interview. Thank you so much for all of the insight that you gave. I think it's very valuable, and I think, but you being so young and having already achieved so much is just incredible. And I think just to kind of close the interview, I think it's very important for everyone to kind of know where people can find you. So, do you have like a website? Are you on social media? How can people reach you?
So I'm in Instagram, so David_Ali. I'm also on Facebook, David Ali. In LinkedIn, David_Ali_. And yeah, those are my social media. If you want anything, just send a message. Advice, tips, girls also. If you want to, you can come. And yeah, that's it. That's it.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And I hope to see you at one of our festivals, maybe ESF or Jubilee Games in the next few years.
Thank you once again, Miriam, for your time, for your help, and also the organization. Thank you for organizing this interview. And it was a very pleasant interview. It was my first one, and I hope to do many more interviews. And I hope to see you too in a sports festival, so we can gather and have the Jamats all gathered together.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care. Yali Madad.
Thank you. Yali Madad.